All right. Hi, Alan. Hi, Cindy. So, for people that don't know who you are and what you're doing, could you give us a little intro and into who you are and kind of what you've been doing the last 20 years and what you're doing now for people with mental health and yeah, all that stuff.
Hi, Thomas. My name's Alan, my partner Cindy. We've worked in the addictions and mental health field for over 25 years combined, and we've done the counseling thing. And we are dedicated our life to helping other people. And a few years ago, we started by writing a book to reach out to people suffering in silence because our organization could only help so many people. We wrote our first book, The Magic Within, How to Transform Your Life, to help people. And that's also the time that we became NLP practitioners. And when we became practitioners, we seen how effective NLP was. So we progressed to the next level and we became master practitioners of NLP and then master hypnotherapy, MER, which is mental emotional release. And as a counselor, I had clients for years, and even when I went to the mental health organization I work for now, I was supporting clients in private for years. And what MER is it's a game changer. It changes the way things go. Instead of having to have somebody in counseling for years and desensitize them to their traumas, MER is one session, two sessions, and their traumas are gone. Like we've had many clients come back and say to us, I wish I would have known this 20 years ago so they didn't, lose 20 years of their life. And for myself, I had it done for myself. I was traumatized very severely as a kid, and it adversely affected me. And I was kind of like you. I thought I was on a good path, rolling along, pretty happy. And then MER came along and had it done, and it released. It freed the last part of my soul, my spirit, my well-being to be who I am today. And yeah, MER is, we are so passionate about helping people because it works and it's non-evasive. And for me, that's great. I don't want somebody being triggered for 5 years trying to get through their PTSD the hard way. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do it this way.
And so you kind of mentioned it earlier, but you guys have been doing addictions counseling and therapy. And could you just tell us like what therapy is, what addiction counseling is, and then you did hit on MER quite a bit, but just kind of what's the difference and because I think a lot of people that we're looking to help, and we're going to really get into that, the first responder stuff. But yeah, what's therapy? What's MER? What is that?
Um, I've been working in the addiction and mental health field for 18 years. And basically, so the target population that I specialize in is people with mental health and addiction at the same time. And probably, I'd say at least 99% of them have trauma and substance use issues.
Right, right.
And they use substances to deal with the trauma, and it kind of ends up being in a vicious circle, right? Once they get addicted. So with the counseling, what we do is, we're oftentimes looking back at their life and trying to help them sort through things. Start with addictions. A lot of the therapy is cognitive. It's around your thinking. When we help people change their thinking, it helps changes their behaviors and their feelings and the results, and that can be effective. However, the problem is when they have trauma associated, there really isn't a lot of really effective treatment for trauma other than a lot of times is managing it. but it's still there, and it gets triggered at times when people least expect it, and they don't know how to deal with it, and then they sometimes end up relapsing. So that's kind of the cycle I've seen over the last 18 years. The game changer with MER is you actually can release that trauma, so you're not getting triggered anymore back into those behaviors that people used because they couldn't deal with it anymore. So all of a sudden now that trauma is not there. And so that's the game changer with the MER, is releasing of the trauma and all the negative emotions and limiting beliefs associated with their past. And then they can move on with the hypnosis, with suggesting new behaviors and new ways of dealing with things. So
Right. And I guess what got you guys into NLP and MER in the first place? Like, what was the trigger for that for you guys?
actually, it was more my idea than Alan's. I kind of just said to Alan, I need to learn NLP. You coming with me? And he's like, sure. That's just the way things have kind of been with us. But I actually was in Costa Rica years ago, and I met a woman who had just finished her NLP training with Tad James, who is Matt James' father.
Oh, wow.
And she was super excited. And she went on and on and on about it. And she actually gave me a bunch of CDs that they did during the training. And she said, you need to listen to this. So I kind of took it home, threw it in the closet. I'm like, whatever, at that time. And one day I pulled it out and I started listening, and I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing stuff. And so I started looking it up, and I found Matt James here in Toronto. That's where close to us. And I said, Al, we just have to try this, because I really think this is a game changer. And so we went to the first 4 days, and after that we were hooked. Just those, the first training, just like to dislike and mapping across. We used that with a client who had alcohol issues, and because we're addiction counselors, we can use it because we understand withdrawal. That's the big part of addictions, right? Is withdrawal. And we did it with someone who was a smoker, and he quit smoking. He never went back. And at that time, we didn't know the hypnosis. So just little things and anchoring and stuff like that we could use to help people was really just that much was a game changer. Yeah. And we just wanted more and more. So
yeah.
When,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Alan.
When we did the practitioner, like that's the entry level into NLP, and the effectiveness alone of just that, it just made us want to progress more to get the master, so that we could learn more, so we could help people quicker and effectively. And yeah, it's she gave me those CDs, and I started listening to them, and I just basically thought, wow, this is amazing stuff. And I like she said, she introduced it to me, and I said, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. I know it's the same experience I had. Was my acupuncturist said, with what you're doing with life coaching, all that, you should go check out Dr. James and get into his NLP class. And I did. And we've talked about on the podcast and everything, but that experience alone, the basic level is unbelievable. And just to go back a little bit to the map across, just to explain this to people is really, it's like taking a picture of, somebody smoking. So they visualize that, and they visualize something that's just so gross and so disgusting. And then we just change the qualities and kind of, move that picture from one folder to the other. And same here. I would say 60-70% success rate with people, which seems about right. With smoking, with rock stars, things like that. And it's work. They're not smoking. They're not drinking 3-4 rock stars a day. It's unbelievable. In 15-20 minutes,
Yeah.
So I wanted to move forward a little bit and ask you guys, we've talked about it a lot, and, I've been in Wildland Fire for 13 years and done all that. And I'm curious, like, I want to hear, like, why do you guys want to work with first responders, and why do you want to help first responders, and why is that so important to you?
For me, that's kind of it's an easy question for me to answer. Just picture life without first responders.
Yeah.
Now, if you have the picture I have, it's not a life I want to live. And you got to think of it like this: police, firemen, ambulance, they are exposed to so much trauma. Like, trauma is individualized. Two people go to the same car accident, one person's traumatized, the other person's not, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like traumatized. But imagine being a police officer, a firefighter, ambulance, and seeing it all the time. And if we lose these great people, these first responders like you and the other people that we want to support, what's our world going to be like? Like, really think about it. For
Yeah.
me, it's they're giving, and you know what? You're not in a, like, I'm not sure what you get paid, but I'm sure you're not being paid that you're a millionaire and stuff. You're doing something because you're passionate and you want to help people, because that's really the only reason you're doing it. It's not for the money. Like, I know police up here, they're not getting paid $100,000 or anything where they can retire in 5 years or anything like that. These are people that are putting themselves out there for a career that's helping other people, helping society. And you know what? We need them,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I can see a world without them, and I don't like the picture I have of that world. So for me, helping one person is, you know what, is perfect for me. I want to help one person, and then they tell somebody else, and I can help somebody else. And for us, our passion is to give back, and that's why we did the masters in the hypnotherapy. We want to help people that are basically helping the rest of the world.
Oh, that's so powerful, Alan. Thank you for that. And yeah, it's just the suicide rate right now, and with the first responders and veterans, and just that whole category is just unbelievable. You know, I was just reading an article the other day about there's more firefighter deaths due to suicide than online or on duty accidents and things like that. And it's just, gosh, I hope, just to save one life, even, is like you're saying, is so powerful, and so passionate about that as well. And so, I want to go a little bit deeper. You guys are the experts. I'm going to my master practice this summer, and gosh, I'm excited about that, of course. And but you guys are the experts, and I want to hear about, like, how does MER work, and I want to help explain this to people, and uh, what's the process, and how long does it take, and what are the results, and all those kinds of things.
MER, every moment of the day, we have millions of bits of information coming at us. Like, if I just stop and look forward, there's a million bits of information: TV, smells, sounds, everything is coming at us. And the conscious mind can only absorb a part of it, like 126 bits or something like that. But the unconscious mind is like your filing cabinet. It files everything in order, and it files it and remembers everything. So if you've been traumatized when you were young and you can't understand why I can't keep a relationship, or why do I get angry, or why do I fear something, it's in your unconscious mind. The answer is in your unconscious mind. And the great thing about MER and how it releases the negative emotion is, if you were my client, you don't even have to tell me what it is. All you have to do is know that there's something. Say we were working on fear or anger or sadness, hurt, guilt, and shame. You don't have to look up and say, Alan, I was raped when I was 10 years old, or I nearly, you know, fell off a building, or something that traumatized you. All you have to know is the experience, and you go back to that experience. And when we do MER, they give us a script. And if you follow the script exactly, the wording has to be followed exactly, because you're speaking to the unconscious mind. And when you do that, you go back, you release the negative emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, hurt. And when you release that emotion, it basically releases all of that emotion all the way back to now. Say we were working on anger. It doesn't mean tomorrow you won't get mad if somebody cuts you off, or you know, you wreck your TV or whatever it is. What it means is, once it's done, MER is done, you start with a clean slate. It's like starting with none of that anger in the back. Like for me, I was raped at 10 years old, and I had that record playing all the time. And my PTSD was that constant memory, just going back and reliving it and reliving it. And it got so bad, by the time I was 16, I put a gun in my mouth and I pulled the trigger. And then I started down a path where I started to change at 27. But when I was doing good, there was still all that back in the unconscious mind. And when I did MER, it was released. It was totally free. Even though I was a very happy person and productive, and I was doing all the right things, it was still back there. And sometimes when we have things that happened to us in the past, say you grew up with a belief that money, abundance and money was bad, because from your parents or from your teachers or from your friends or siblings, they said rich people are thieves and whatever it is, you have that belief. And when you start your own business and it doesn't succeed, it's not because you didn't have a good idea for your business. It might be that limiting belief that's in there that you don't even know is holding you back. Say your first girlfriend said to me, "I'm useless and you'll never find love," or anything like that. Well, that might be a belief that I have. And when you have beliefs that are holding you back, well, what you do is you do MER to release all the negative emotions, and then we do a limiting belief session where we change beliefs that are holding us back. It's like you have a free book. Like, we can't rewrite the beginnings of our lives if there were books, right? But imagine if you could start your book over. And that's what MER does. It makes you be who you want to be. It starts you from a clean slate where you're not being held back by the emotions, or you're not being held back by the limiting beliefs. So for MER is just, and hypnotherapy, and we do hypnosis. So yeah, it's amazing what happens. I can tell you right now, Cindy said 99% of her clients had trauma. When I was doing addictions all the time, I had 100%. They all had trauma. And that was one of the parts that it took the longest time, was dealing with the trauma. And there was no tools. I had no tools like I have today. So for me, I'm passionate about MER because of my own results and the results I see from people we work with.
Yeah.
I think too, the big thing about MER is when you go back in your timeline to the event, you're releasing the negative emotions that your unconscious mind associated to that event. And when those emotions are released, it's like the attachment's not there anymore. So you still remember the event, but it's not is traumatizing. It's just kind of like I watched a movie and I saw something, but it doesn't affect you the same. And so that's the beautiful part of it is the releasing of the emotions or any beliefs associated with that event. And I did one with a woman not too long ago. She spent 40 years living with trauma since she was 7. And when we did the MER on her, within 45 minutes it had released, and she couldn't believe it. And she said, now when I try and even think about it, it's like my mind goes around the event. She said, I know it's there, but I can't really get into it like I used to. And she just can't get over, it's like she got her life back. And that's what makes me so happy to see people. And just like with you, Thomas, the way it's changed your life, it's just so beautiful. And I just want to give as many people this gift as possible so people don't suffer anymore. We want to help people who are suffering. That's our biggest thing.
Yeah. And I just want to take a pause here and just check your guys' mic. Maybe it was crackling a little bit for Alan, and I just wanted to make sure it sounded really good when Cindy was talking.
She's got that nice voice. It works better than mine.
Oh, it's perfect. Whatever you did, I think you fixed it. So, I guess I kind of want to tell my story again, of course. I'm going to tell a story the rest of my life, but I think I've had a week or so now, and to really process one of the things that came up, and it was the time question. And for people that don't know, or haven't seen what I've been talking about is Alan and Cindy did my MER session last week, and like Alan said, like I've been feeling good, like life is good, I've been creating my own business, I'm doing this and that, and just everything's going well, but there was still there was still something there. And when you did the MER session, I had this thing about just if I'm late to something, I was just kind of had a bad anxiety, and it was really surprising to learn that I actually got triggered pretty bad during the session. I got pretty scared. And it all came back to this event that I remembered. Is like, oh, this makes so much sense. And it was this, I was in a fire engine with my engine boss and a task force leader. We're like driving up this canyon and checking out for houses and kind of making a plan for the fire that's coming, and, classic fire stuff. And, we heard air attack, the guy in the plane call out and say, hey, whoever's in that engine needs to get the F out of there because it's getting pretty bad. And, the fire was just over the mountain from us. So we turned around, we're heading back, and we get a flat tire, right? And next thing you know, there's fire coming down the mountain, basically got surrounded and got, helicopter drops around us and all sorts of stuff. We made it, everything was fine. But I remember that hotshot supervisor, the task force leader, just screaming like, I'm going to be late to my briefing. I'm going to be late to the meeting. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. And it's like, now I had this belief of time was killing me. And it's just so silly now. I mean, just releasing that was so powerful. It's like, so I can just smile about that. And like most of the other beliefs, I honestly can't remember, but that one was like, wow, that's so silly, So I've actually been going to places late recently, like just to like test it, and it's totally gone. 100% gone. I can be late and like whatever, that's totally fine. And so I think I want to go back a little bit and ask you guys this question too about I think there's a lot of with mental health, I think there's, in my opinion, there is some sort of metaphysical things going on. In my opinion, I do think that there's energy involved with the emotions, and I do think there's energy trapped in the body. And my personal experience with the MER was major energy shifts inside my body. And I just want to get your guys' opinion on emotions, energy trapped in the body, and really all that leading to illness, really like physical illness eventually.
Yeah. Well, we actually did a extended training with Dr. Matt when we got back. Only certain people could go in who had a history of working in the medical field or therapy field. Any clinical work. And so we got into that one. And the first thing he said to us is 99% of all health issues are psychological.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Yeah. And as we worked through the program, basically it was kind of like in a nutshell, when someone experiences a significant event in their life, a significant emotional event, what happens is during that time, something changes in the brain and the way the unconscious mind kind of deals with it, and it'll affect some part of the body. And usually within 2 years, it's after that event, that's when stuff starts changing, and then the person ends up with something going on physically. And so basically they taught us in that training, they gave us a list of things that happen to people and literally what body things happen in the body due to that event, which is really, really interesting. And so that's basically, so those emotions, all those beliefs get stored somewhere in the body, and then the body starts responding, reacting through a physical response, and the person ends up with some kind of illness. So it was really eye-opening, and I've always believed in that because I'm a Reiki master. So when I work with people, I would always use the Louise Hay books. So if they had certain issues, we talk about, so is this happened to you? And then we look at that, and I try and help them work through that. But now with the MER, that just puts it to a way new level of helping people heal. And I actually worked with a friend a couple of weeks ago. She was in a major car accident 12 years ago, and since then has had chronic pain. And she asked me if I would help her with her pain. I said, sure. So we actually did MER. We specifically went to that event, the car accident. We did what we called fast phobia with her. And I saw her today, and she said the first time in 12 years she can sleep without a body pillow.
Wow.
And her pain is like gone down like 70%. And her emotions back, and like she's every day feeling better, and like she just is in awe, like complete awe. And that's what we did for that accident. We just went back and released all the emotions and the limiting beliefs that she took from that, and the fear, the trauma of that accident. So
right.
It is absolutely mind-blowing what our unconscious minds can do to heal our bodies. It's really mind-blowing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I really do believe that this MER stuff is tapping into a lot of the things that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. You know, he's had a lot of instant healings, and the science that he's providing through all that is just incredible. And I really want to see some brain scans of an MER session and see what's going on, because I think, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty similar to what's going on with Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff, because these instant healings are possible, highly possible, right? And
absolutely.
Yeah, and so I wanna really like get clear and direct about how does MER and the fast phobia cure and all the other techniques that you guys have as master practitioners, how does that directly help PTSD, anxiety, depression? Those are like the three major things that affect first responders more than anything.
Well, I can tell you that when I was at the training, I did a breakthrough session with somebody. And when I did the breakthrough session with them, memories came up of a very violent experience when I was young between my parents. And the fast phobia model, I wasn't angry about the emotions. I didn't have negative emotions, but I had that memory going through my head, and there was a worry about because I was very angry when I was young. I didn't deal with that trauma I went through very well, and I was worried that those emotions of anger would return. And they did the fast phobia model with me, and it was amazing how, like, in about 8 or 10 minutes doing the fast phobia model, it released all of those pictures. Those pictures it was like the record player had scratched the record or the CD, and it skipped over over that those pictures. So the fast phobia model is actually what we would do if we're working with somebody and they start to get traumatized. We would go through the fast phobia model so that they would be able to release the trauma. But MER and the fast phobia model, it's kind of like you do MER and then you have this fallback plan that if they get triggered in the MER or triggered by something else, you use this fast phobia model to release all of that. But MER releases like depression, the anxiety, the negative emotions. It's kind of like you said about Joe Dispenza, and the body can heal itself. There was research I was just listening to, and it might be from Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden or Bruce Lipton, where the body's regenerating itself all of the time. And when it's not regenerating itself or repairing itself, it's because there's negative emotions. And negative emotions means there's negative energy in the body. And when you have that, like Cindy said, that training we did with Dr. Matt, it was amazing to think, oh, my knee is acting up. Well, it's because there's trapped negative emotion in the body, and your stomach is sore, your back is sore, your neck is sore. That's where the body is storing that negative emotion. And each part means something specific. So doing MER releases all of the negative emotions in one session. You may have to do two sometimes. For some people, they need two because they weren't sure of the process, or they held on to something. It's not really bad, but imagine being free and your body beginning to work properly. Like, a lot of times people don't even realize there's more to them than they can imagine, because they've gotten so used to stomach pains. Oh, that's normal. Or back pains, that's normal. Or my shoulders. And can you imagine what it'd be like for somebody to release all of that negative emotion, or to release that trauma through the fast phobia model, and to wake up in the morning and be able to pop out of bed, walk down the stairs, and then realize, oh my God, I didn't limp, or I didn't crouch over. And that's what MER does. It releases the emotions, the negativity. It helps with depression. It helps with anxiety. It's amazing. It's amazing. We've had many people tell us it helped with something we didn't even talk about. I forget, I've lost the word. As one of the benefits of something, you work on something, it helps something else. It's kind of like it fixed two things at one time. We did the funny story I have is I did a mapping across for a lady that didn't like Mountain Dew. She was drinking 6 or 7 Mountain Dew a day, and she stopped drinking pop totally.
It's so amazing.
The health benefit, right?
Yeah. And, to go back to the energy and kind of what you're speaking to is I'm going to the acupuncturist this week, because he does a technique where he presses on organs and he feels the tightness, and he's like, oh, you're angry. Oh, you're having fear. Like, he can literally tell what emotions you have by the tension in your organs. And I'm like, well, like, I'm feeling pretty good, but I want to go get this tested. Like, I just did an experiment for myself. Like, let's see, like, because I've had anger in my liver for so long, like basically my whole life, and I can't get angry. Like, yeah, I get upset. Like, oh, I dropped something. Shoot, that's it. Gosh, it's just so crazy. And I just want to speak to, I've seen, some of the groups I'm in, and PTSD on Facebook and everything. There's a lot of people out there that are just, there's no cure. There's no help. I'm helpless. I'm hopeless. And it's just, there's hope with MER. There's total hope, and it's totally possible to change in an instant. it's such a beautiful technique that you guys use. And really, I wanted to talk more about kind of move forward and talk about how we're partnering together and what we're doing, and the things that we've been doing is, I've reached out to you guys to be my master practitioners for my clients until I get certified this summer. And so we can really join forces and help as many first responders together. And so Mountain Mind Tricks is my company and my coaching business and what I do. And your guys is Magic Within, right? And we're joining forces, these two amazing companies, and we're going to change some lives together. And I just wanted to throw that back at you guys and see what you guys had to say about that.
Well, for me, Thomas, I gotta say that the universe brought us together because we have the same passion, and I am grateful that you are part of our life, because the more people I get to help, it's because of you, and it's helping me to help other people. And that's basically really one of our main goals. Are we want to help the people that are putting themselves out there for other people, right? Like, we could be specifically working with people in business. We could specifically be working with people in relationships. We could be specifically working with people in physical health. But Cindy and I want to work with as many first responders as we can so that we can give back. I see the world like, imagine the world with no police. Imagine the world with no firefighters. Imagine the world without those amazing veterans that have given me this freedom to learn MER, to be a master practitioner. Imagine the world without all of those amazing people. It wouldn't be the world we live in today, right?
Yeah.
So my focus is on helping them. Like, I read basically the suicide rate for veterans is terrible. It's sad. And you know what? These young men and these young women have risked their lives to keep us free in Canada and the United States, and they're being overlooked, right? We need to do more for them. We need to do more for firefighters. We need to do more for people in ambulance. We need to do more for the police. And I'm grateful that our two companies have come together and that you're helping us to help other people. I'm blessed and honored that we've met.
Yeah. Pretty great partnership, and I'm really excited about it. And I think the last point I kind of want to hit here is I want to hear your guys' opinion, as master practitioners and addiction counselors on, the MER stuff releases everything, but then it's after, like the work after. And, I know we both agree on this, is that the integrative coaching, a 12-week program is really the best option. Like, once those emotions release, I could, from my experience, I could see people getting kind of a little lost without having a coach. What do you guys think about all that?
No, I agree totally. It's kind of like having a clean slate and not knowing what to do. It's easy to fall back. Like when we do MER with people, we recommend the coaching as well, just to keep them on track, just to keep them focused on their goals, to help them realize they're worthy, right? Because in addictions, a lot of times they would come to the center, they would stay for 6 months, and then they would go home and they would fall back into old behaviors, old thinking, old habits, and then suddenly they're back in the bar and they're drinking again. Well, that's the same thing with MER. Doing MER is kind of like, the blackboard's clean now, write what you want to write on it. Well, sometimes the old thinking will come back if nobody's there to say, hey, that's not beneficial to you, or maybe have you thought of this? And coaching for 12 weeks. Oh yeah, I agree totally that is creating the foundation that we need. You wouldn't build a house on stick foundation, would you?
Right, right. And, I guess I'd also like to hear you guys' thoughts on, therapy versus coaching, and for people that aren't really sure about that, like, what is the difference?
I find for therapy, a lot of the times you're digging around in the past, looking at stuff that's happened in the past, and trying to work through that and making more sense of it, and then moving forward and trying to apply those things that you're learning towards your future and how you can improve, which which can be really good in a lot of situations where. But the nice thing about MER is you don't have to do a lot of digging, right? You can
Yeah.
release all that and the limiting beliefs. And whereas with coaching, it's kind of like, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? And the coach kind of keeps you accountable, gives you suggestions, some really great resources and strategies to move forward. And you're not really dealing with the past as much as you're working towards the future goal, and there's that accountability and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I see the differences in regard to therapy versus coaching. And I know Dr. Matt talked about at our training, if you're going to do coaching with people, the breakthrough session, which includes NER, and we kind of are doing with the clients that we're working with you, a mini breakthrough session. And he said, that's just the first step. And it's actually the easiest step. The releasing part's the easiest. Then is, okay, now you're going to work on your goals, and I'm going to help you be accountable. I'm going to help you with some strategies. I'm going to help you, work through that. I'm going to be your guide going forward with your goals. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot. So yeah, therapy is more, in the past, coaching is more in the future, and focusing on where you're going instead of where you've been. That's really cool. And gosh, yeah. You guys have anything else? I'm feeling pretty complete here. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, and I'm feeling really good about this interview.
I'm always feeling good when I talk with you, Thomas, and I want to emphasize again how grateful I am and Cindy are for meeting you and for you helping us, and we're here to help you. And yeah, it's a great partnership, and yeah, I'm very grateful.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for just doing what you do and your mission and just everything. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk to everybody that watches this soon. And really, I hope this just helps spread the word about MER and NLP and what it is, and gosh, how it can help you, because it's so amazing. It's so powerful, and just sending everybody that watches this love and happiness, and we'll talk to everybody soon. And thank you so much, Alan and Cindy. And yeah, that's it, everybody. All right.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Have a
Yeah.
great night.
Yes, you too.